Dynamic Trendline Deluxe Pro Bot cBot for cTrader introduction. Gear Dynamic Trendline Deluxe Pro Bot is a versatile cBot for the cTrader platform. Its strategy is based on identifying price interaction with dynamically calculated support and resistance trend lines. This software features a wide set of configurable parameters, offering the user considerable control over its operation. It is important to remember that trading financial instruments always involves significant risks. Core strategy: dynamic trend lines and signals adaptive, dynamic calculation. On each new bar, the cBot analyzes the preceding number of candles to identify key lows and highs according to the BIF. Chosen support/ResistancePriceSource close or high-low. The drawn line connects the two most extreme points found and is recalculated on every bar, thus adapting to market evolution. Smart validation useful option. Touch validation use. Touch validation, if enabled, verifies that the drawn line is touched by at least min touches required candles within a touch tolerance pips. To confirm its relevance, slope filter use slope filter. If enabled, allows excluding lines with an angle that is too flat or too steep based on min/max slope angle. Signal identification. Three types of interaction with validated lines are precisely monitored. Breakout. A break of the line detectable on tick or on bar close via breakout detection mode. Touch. Price touches the line without a significant break. Approach. Price approaches the line within approach distance, tips without touching. Flexible training logic and overrides. The user sets the action continue trend. Invert, no action for each signal. The force continue trend. Manual option forces continue trend. The use ATR override option can impose continue trend based on ATR measured volatility, bypassing filters if active. Main features and configurable options. The cBot offers a comprehensive suite of options to customize the strategy. Detailed signal filtering options. Numerous filters based on technical indicators can be enabled to qualify signals. Inactive if an override is active, including moving average use strong trend filter. RSI use RSI confirmation. ODV use OB filter. Stochastic STICE. Stochastic STIA. Use stochastic filter. Volume. Use volume filter. MACD use MACD filter. Bot DCLT. Byte DMI/ADX use ADX range filter. Bollinger Bands use Bollinger filter. Ichimoku use Ichimoku. Filter. These filters provide tools for more accurate signal selection. Controlled volume and risk management. Bar chart volume. Fixed trade volume or dynamic use, dynamic lot, risk percent, max lot size for precise position sizing. Position limits, control over max long positions and max short positions. Loss limits, useful option for daily use, daily loss limit and weekly use. Weekly loss limits for greater discipline. Comprehensive trade management, suite. Chart increasing flexible initial stop loss/take profit. Choose between fixed values, stop loss long/short pips, or ATR-based levels. Use ATR initial SLTP to adapt to volatility. Partial take profit. Option use partial TP to manage profits by closing a portion percent to close at TP1 of the position at a target partial TP1 pips. Break even. Option use break even to move the stop loss to break even and protect the trade. Advanced trailing stop use trailing stop. Besides the fixed mode, it includes the ATR-based mode. TS mode equals ATR. This upgrade from the Pro version offers an intelligent way to follow trends by adapting the distance to market volatility. Operational controls. Stopwatch time filter. Option enable time filter to define specific days, allow Monday and UTC time slots start time 1/end time 1, 4, 4. Trading activity. Conclusion. Dynamic Trendline Deluxe Pro Bot is a comprehensive software tool for cTrader, designed for traders who seek in-depth control over their automated trendline-based strategy. It offers numerous features for configuration, filtering, and management. As with any trading system, its effectiveness will depend on proper configuration and rigorous testing. Important disclaimer/risk warning: trading financial instruments, including Forex and CFDs, involves a high level of risk and may not be suitable for all investors. There is a real possibility that you may sustain a loss equal to or greater than your entire invested capital. Therefore, you should not invest money that you cannot afford to lose. Past performance, including backtest results, is not indicative nor a guarantee of future results. Dynamic Trendline Deluxe Pro Bot is a software tool and does not guarantee any profits. Its performance heavily depends on the user-chosen configuration, ever-changing market conditions, user-applied risk management, and other external factors. This description and the provided software do not constitute financial or investment advice, nor a solicitation to invest. The user is solely responsible for their own trading decisions and capital management. It is strongly recommended to fully understand the risks associated with trading and to thoroughly test any strategy or software, including this cBot, on a demo account for an adequate period before considering NaN. Use with real capital. Seek advice from an independent financial advisor if you have any doubts.
Appendix: detailed comparison with the previous version, Pro. Certainly. Let's compare the two cBots you provided. Bot 1. Dynamic Trendline Deluxe Pro Bot, the more complex one we analyzed. Bot 2. Dynamic Trendline Pro Bot. The previous version V22 will call the first one Unified or Deluxe Pro and the second one Pro for simplicity. Here are the main differences, highlighting what Unified Deluxe Pro adds or does differently compared to Pro. Main features added in Unified Deluxe Pro. Advanced Volume Management Pro only has fixed volume trade volume. Unified adds the option for dynamic lot sizing, use dynamic lot, risk percent, max lot size based on risk percentage, and the calculated stop loss. ATA-based initial stop loss/take profit, Pro, only has fixed SL/TP stop loss long/short pips, take profit long/short pips. Unified adds the option, use ATR initial SLTP, initial SL-ATR multiplier, initial TP-ATR multiplier to calculate initial SL and TP based on ATR, offering GAR. Greater adaptability to volatility. Partial take profit, Pro, feature absent. Unified introduces the ability to close a portion of the position percent to close at TP1 at an intermediate profit target, partial TP1 pips, using the use partial TPP. Parameters. ATA-based trailing stop, Pro, only has fixed pips trailing stop trailing distance pips. Unified adds the mode TS mode for an ATR-based trailing stop TS ATR multiplier in addition to the fixed one. Additional indicator filters. Pro has filters for MA trend, RSI confirmation, ADX range. Unified includes all of Pro's filters plus optional filters for AOV on balance, volume, stochastic, volume comparison with MA, MACD, DMI, direction die plus/die, Bollinger, bands, Ichimoku Kinko Hyo. This offers many more options for confirming signals. Global risk management loss limits, Pro, feature absent. Unified introduces daily and weekly loss limits. Use daily loss limit percent. Use weekly loss limit percent that can stop trading if exceeded with a PRI. Configurable reset time loss limit reset time UTC. Time filter, Pro, feature absent. Unified adds a comprehensive time filter to enable/disable trading on specific days of the week and during configurable UTC time slots up to 2 sessions. Breakout detection mode, Pro. Implicitly, all signals are evaluated only on bar. There's no intrabar detection for breakouts. Unified adds the breakout detection mode parameter, allowing the choice between detecting breakouts on bar close, like Pro, or during bar formation on tick cross, as soon as the price BN crosses the line. Structural and implementation differences. On tick method, Pro, is empty, all logic is in on bar. Unified actively implements the logic for on-tick cross-breakout detection if that mode is selected. Try Open Position method, Pro, simpler logic, checks fewer conditions, applies fewer filters, uses fixed volume/SL/TP, checks position limits less specifically initially. Unified, much more complex, checks loss limits, time filter, specific long/short limits, applies all additional filters if enabled, calculates volume and SL/TP, flexibly fixed or dynamic/ATR. Position management, manage open positions. Pro, manages only B and fixed Ts. Uses a modify position pose, SL, TP core that might be obsolete in newer API versions. Had code now removed/commented for time-based exits. Unified, manages B, TS fixed or ATR, and partial TP. Uses more modern and specific API methods like POS, modifies stop-loss price and close position. Variables and helper methods. Pro, fewer private variables, focused on basic functionalities. Unified, many more variables to manage the state of new features loss limits, partial TP, breakout flags, extra indicators, and dedicated helper methods, e.g. initialize loss limits. Check loss limit reset is trading time allowed. Bot label Pro, uses a fixed label, dynamic Trendline Pro Bot. Unified, uses a more dynamic label $din TLU symbol .name timeframe to distinguish different instances. In summary, the unified dynamic Trendline Deluxe Pro Bot represents a significant evolution of the Pro Bot. It retains the same core logic of dynamic trendlines, but adds a vast range of advanced features for risk management, position sizing, exit options, partial TP, ATRTs, signal filtering, and operational control time filter, loss limits. It is a much more complex, powerful, and configurable bot. The Pro Bot is a simpler, more basic version with fewer options.
Dynamic Trendline Deluxe Pro Bot Parameter Explanations. This document details the configurable parameters available in the Dynamic Trendline Deluxe Pro Bot for cTrader. Parameters are grouped as they appear in the cBot settings panel. Group, Trendline. Number of previous candles. Description, defines the lookback period, number of candles, used to identify the highest high points, for resistance, and lowest low points, for support, when calculating trendlines. Default, 50. Min value, 10. Support price source. Description, determines which price points are used to find the two lowest points for the support trendline. Close, uses the closing price of each candle. HighLow, uses the low price, low, of each candle. Default, close. Resistance price source. Description, determines which price points are used to find the two highest points for the resistance trendline. Close, uses the closing price of each candle. HighLow, uses the high price, high, of each candle. Default, close. Group, trendline validation. Use touch validation. Description, if set to true, enables an additional check requiring the calculated trendline to be touched by a minimum number of candles within the lookback period to be considered valid. Default, false. Min touches required. Description, specifies the minimum number of candle touches, including the two defining points, required for a trend line to be considered valid. Only active if use touch validation is true. Default, 3. Min value, 2. Touch tolerance, pips. Description, defines how close, in pips, a candle's high/low/close, depending on price source, must be to the trend line to be counted as a touch. Only active if use touch validation is true. Default, 2.0. Min value, 0.1. Use slope filter. Description, if set to true, enables filtering of trend lines based on their angle, steepness. Lines that are too flat or too steep will be discarded. Default, false. Minimum angle, absolute degrees. Description: specifies the minimum absolute angle, in degrees from horizontal. A trend line must have to be considered valid. Only active if use slope filter is true. Filters out lines that are too flat. Default, 5. Min value, 0, max value, 89. Maximum angle, absolute degrees. Description: specifies the maximum absolute angle, in degrees from horizontal. A trend line can have to be considered valid. Only active if use slope filter is true. Filters out lines that are too steep. Default, 80. Min value, 1, max value, 90. Group, support actions. Action on support breakout. Description: defines the action to take when the price breaks below a valid support line. Continue trend, open a sell trade. Invert, open a buy trade. No action, do nothing. Default, continue trend. Action on support touch. Description: defines the action to take when the price touches a valid support line from above. Continue trend, open a buy trade. Invert, open a sell trade. No action, do nothing. Default, no action. Action on support approach. Description: defines the action to take when the price approaches, gets close to but doesn't touch, a valid support line from above. Continue trend, open a buy trade. Invert, open a sell trade. No action, do nothing. Default, no action. Group, resistance actions. Action on resistance breakout. Description: defines the action to take when the price breaks above a valid resistance line. Continue trend, open a buy trade. Invert, open a sell trade. No action, do nothing. Default, continue trend. Action on resistance touch. Description: defines the action to take when the price touches a valid resistance line from below. Continue trend, open a sell trade. Invert, open a buy trade. No action, do nothing. Default, no action. Action on resistance approach. Description: defines the action to take when the price approaches, gets close to but doesn't touch, a valid resistance line from below. Continue trend, open a sell trade. Invert, open a buy trade. No action, do nothing. Default, no action. Group, trading. Approach distance, pips. Description: defines how close, in pips, the price must get to a trend line without touching it to trigger an approach signal. Default, 5. Min value, 1. Breakout detection mode. Description: determines when breakout signals are checked. On bar close, breakouts are checked only after the current bar has fully closed. On tick cross, breakouts are checked on every incoming tick, allowing for interbar entries as soon as the price crosses the line. Default, on bar close. Fixed volume, lots. Description: the fixed trade size, in lots, used when use dynamic lot is set to false. Default, 0.01. Min value, 0.0001. Use dynamic lot. Description: if set to true, the bot calculates the trade volume based on the risk percent per trade and the calculated stop-loss distance, instead of using the fixed volume. Default, false. Risk percent per trade. Description: the percentage of account equity to risk on a single trade when use dynamic lot is true. The actual risk depends on the stop-loss distance calculated for the trade. Default, 1.0. Min value, 0.1, max value, 10.0. Max allowed lot size. Description: the maximum lot size allowed for a single trade, even when calculated dynamically. This acts as a cap on the dynamic volume calculation. Only active if use dynamic lot is true. Default, 10.0. Min value, 0.01. Group, stop loss / take profit. Stop loss long / short fixed, pips. Description: the fixed stop loss distance in pips for buy, long, / sell, short, trades. This is used if use initial ATR-based SL / TP is false, or as a fallback if ATR calculation fails. Set to 0 for no fixed stop loss. Default, 20. Min value, 0. Take profit long/short fixed, pips. Description: the fixed take profit distance in pips for buy, long/sell, short, trades. This is used if use initial ATR-based SL/TP is false, or as a fallback if ATR calculation fails. Set to 0 for no fixed take profit. Default, 50. Min value, 0. Use initial ATR-based SL/TP. Description: if set to true, the initial stop loss and take profit levels are calculated based on the average true range, ATR, value at the time of entry, multiplied by the respective multipliers below. Overrides fixed SL/TP values. Default, false. ATR multiplier for initial SL. Description: the multiplier applied to the current ATR value, in pips, to determine the initial stop loss distance. Only active if use initial ATR-based SL/TP is true. Default, 1.5. Min value, 0.1. ATR multiplier for initial TP. Description: the multiplier applied to the current ATR value, in pips, to determine the initial take profit distance. Only active if use initial ATR-based SL/TP is true. Default, 3.0. Min value, 0.1. Use partial take profit. Description: if set to true, enables the partial take profit feature, closing a portion of the position at the first TP level. Default, false. Partial TP1, pips. Description: the profit target in pips at which the first partial close will occur. Only active if use partial take profit is true. Default, 30. Min value, 1. % volume to close at TP1. Description: the percentage of the original position volume to be closed when partial TP1, pips, is reached. Only active if use partial take profit is true. Default, 50.0. Min value, 1.0, max value, 99.0. Group, break-even. Use break-even. Description: if set to true, enables the feature to move the stop loss to break-even once a certain profit is reached. Default, false. B-trigger, pips in profit. Description: the amount of profit, in pips, the trade must reach before the stop loss is moved to break-even. Only active if use break-even is true. Default, 15. Min value, 1. B extra pips, beyond entry. Description: a small number of pips added to the entry price when setting the break-even stop loss, e.g., setting to entry plus 1 pip, to cover potential commission/slippage. Can be 0. Only active if use break-even is true. Default, 1. Min value, 0. Group, trailing stop. Use trailing stop. Description: if set to true, enables the trailing stop feature, which automatically adjusts the stop loss as the trade moves further into profit. Default, false. TS mode. Description: selects the method for calculating the trailing stop distance. Fixed pips, trails by a constant number of pips set in TS distance, fixed pips. ATR, trails by a distance calculated from the current ATR value multiplied by TS ATR multiplier. Default, fixed pips. TS trigger, pips in profit. Description: the amount of profit, in pips, the trade must reach before the trailing stop function becomes active. Only active if use trailing stop is true. Default, 20. Min value, 1. TS distance, fixed pips. Description: the fixed distance, in pips, the stop loss will trail behind the current price. Only active if use trailing stop is true and TS mode is fixed pips. Default, 10. Min value, 1. TS ATR multiplier. Description: the multiplier applied to the current ATR value, in pips, to determine the trailing stop distance. Only active if use trailing stop is true and TS mode is ATR. Uses the shared ATR period. Default, 2.0. Min value, 0.1. Group, position management. Max long positions. Description: the maximum number of simultaneous buy, long, positions this cBot instance is allowed to have open. Default, 1. Min value, 1. Max short positions. Description: the maximum number of simultaneous sell, short, positions this cBot instance is allowed to have open. Default, 1. Min value, 1.